And I voted in my first federal election. I know there's a bunch of Haudenosaunees here that are going to judge me. I did. I voted. 100 people stand up. This guy, I'm out, man. This guy's a sellout. So today we had a chance to visit Landscape of Nations here in Queenston Heights Park, and it's actually the site of a really, really important part of Haudenosaunee history here, and it was very influential in the War of 1812. It's really incredible to be here. I've heard a lot about it. There's an incredible story behind it. Where we are, I think, is very significant, but let's start right at the beginning. You were involved quite heavily as a committee member to bring this to fruition. Talk about that work and what it was like.
I kind of came at the tail end, so for about 4 years leading up to the unveiling, which was October 3rd, 2016. It's a way to commemorate the sacrifices and the contribution of our First Nations and Native allies to the War of 1812.
And to come here and to, be in the shadow of Sir Isaac Brock and this monument is a bit of a drag because, as we know in Canadian history, Sir Isaac Brock died within minutes of the start of the battle here at Queenston Heights. And a small handful, 80 or so Haudenosaunee warriors and freedom fighters, held off thousands and thousands of American troops.
Norton and Brant, these two war captains were able to outsmart the Americans, and the way that they were able to set up their war and their strategic war plans, they had those Americans running off the cliff. So really the war of the Battle of Queenston Heights was won by the First Nations and their allies.
And Justin Trudeau and the Liberals, right? They inherited this big old reconciliation pie, and he starts grabbing elders by the shoulders. You see that? Oh, dude, I hate this. He's got that that smug, and he just looks deep into their eyes, and then he like hug kisses them, and yes, you're welcome for funding, funding. You're getting funding. You're all getting funding. Trudeau's like the Oprah of reconciliation. Guess what that is?
We once forged together, and we were once allies. And there's no reason why we can't polish that covenant chain again and start to work together in peace, friendship, harmony, with a good mind, with the right intentions.
Michelle, our host, to walk us through there and talk about the significance of the materials that were used there. They thought of everything from including the longhouse and the iron that makes up the longhouse. I just want to say, this is art. Like, when I was walking up, I looked down and I saw this and I thought, whoa, wait a minute, is this what I think it is? And it is. And we're entering into a longhouse.
The longhouse, yes, which hosted, this is where the Haudenosaunee, the people of the longhouse. First of all, it was the 5 nations and then the 6 nations.
Yeah.
But so this is, like you said, it's an art form which tells a story.
Yeah.
But there's many stories, so you can come with these group of children or even adults. You can have so many teachings just right here.
Yeah.
You can have so many teachings with the two-row wampum, Turtle Island.
This is made of iron.
Correct.
So the Mohawk ironworkers, there are 7 strands of iron for the 7
generations.
Yes. But that when he and when Senior Trudeau and Jean Chrétien, his right-hand man, were drafting the policy, little Justin was asleep under the table, just listening to all the racist that his dad was saying to Jean Chrétien. It was just seeping in through the DNA, just like, ooh, that's a good idea. I'm 3 months old, but I feel racist as hell. And it just came in, and now it just comes out in a smile. We're still gonna get rid of all of you. No, it's really amazing, and the experience of coming through on the walkway, and then to be greeted by the plants and the medicines that are from here. Talk about the design decisions that you made just to make sure that when people come here, they know what this place actually is and was and what it's all about. In regards to the way the complete design is sort of laid out here today.
Well, interesting. This design, we're just so fortunate, once again, that this is kind of like close to Mother Earth. And we're walking on her back and we're massaging her and letting her know that we are honoring our ancestors.
Yeah, and it's commemorated here, 1812, and the clubs here, and that is to commemorate the war?
This is to say that this is the start of the war.
Okay.
So we can talk about
I see.
colonization, when we're coming into that century, and then we can come over here and say, what happened after 1812? So there's a lot of teachings there as well.
Yeah. If we're going to correct history, and if we're going to, have a better version of what this country was, and what it could be, then those Indigenous stories need to be told. So I love this. I love that you're tipping the hat to all of the allies. But around the sides here, you have mentioned the communities that were
Correct.
here and who's from here.
So we're celebrating, Landscape of Nations celebrates the sacrifices and the contribution of the Six Nations and their Native allies, because they really did come to force. They were here. So on each of these incredible limestone pieces, and I can't remember how much they weigh, but they were quarried right here. So it's part of the escarpment.
Wow.
They're 465 million years of age.
Not bad.
They look pretty good, don't they? But they even have the crinoids in here, which were the first life. Like, that's where life started.
Yeah.
So you can actually see life starting, and we are now in a resurgence with our own people, with life here. But on each of these wonderful, you have plaques that recognizes all the Six Nations and their allies.
These plaques, these commemorate the communities, and they're absolutely stunning.
Aren't they?
When you show the kids that they're actually distinct communities, does that kind of raise a lot of questions? Because I think most Canadians, especially when we use words like Aboriginal people, it kind of strips us of our identity. Do they kind of get confused when you go, oh no, there's a whole bunch of different groups of people?
Right. Yet another teaching, another opportunity to educate, even with the Gistoas, the different nations. You can tell what nation you're from. But the thing is that with Indigenous people, it's so true, because everyone thinks that we're all the same. We're all one big Indigenous or Aboriginal, and it's wonderful to be able to teach people that we have unique differences.
Distinct colors, our beadwork is different for a reason. I think this is the time that our elders probably dreamed about, this time where we can find a good way forward, and like a time where things are changing, and things are changing. I really believe that, like 30 or 40 years from now, they're gonna write books about this time. And I don't know really what chapter or our names will be found in, but we're alive during this change, and it's amazing, it's incredible. And there's no like pathway to reconciliation. There's no right or wrong way to reconciliation in Canada. We're just kind of stumbling and fumbling our way through it every day. Every time you do something, we're trying to get a little bit better, and I think that's amazing. To end our walk, we go towards the tree of peace. So this is, I didn't notice this at first.
Really?
Yeah, no. When I stepped in, I was like, wow, this is, and I was like, wow, this is perfect. I love this. And then I saw the crew and everyone talking about getting our final shot over at the Tree of Peace. Talk about what this means to you and what it means to the kids and the others that visit.
Well, like we said, we are kind of like in this journey along the Truro Wampum and telling that story, and a lot of teachings, as we had mentioned, all the way through. And it's so nice to be able to come out to the everlasting Tree of Peace, the Eastern White Pine Tree. So it's a very sacred tree. There's a lot of use for ceremonies, but also this is where we bury the hatchet.
Yeah, the Tree of Peace.
Exactly. And then you'll see that in a lot of Haudenosaunee drawings and artwork, where the roots go really, really deep and then into the river. So they would just float all of the bad away and all the, just floated away. Or it would also bind people together.
Yeah.
So it could be, there's a lot of, once again, many teachings on that.
It's amazing. This visit has been incredible, and I couldn't have had a better partner to walk me through it. Having the chance to come and visit this site was really, really amazing. And I don't know if people realize what they're walking through when they visit that site, but it's a really powerful expression of the Haudenosaunee presence here. And frankly, I also leave frustrated. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I mean, this should be everywhere. This should be all across Canada. There should be sites like this everywhere to let people know that we are partly responsible for allowing people to settle here, to live amongst us, and we need to honor that. All Canadians should revere and respect that. But yet, we have a long way to go, and I feel like the Landscape of Nations is definitely a really important step in that recognition. I guess to be continued, and today was an awesome day. Yeah, anyone read the Bible? No. Now the Mohawks are really mad. They're like, oh, and the Bible, huh? You voted and you read the Bible, hey? All right, Ojibwe boy, you're kicked out of the territory. That's it for you.